She stood outside the grocery store with her head bare, not a single strand of hair left, holding her two little children, whose tiny bald heads shone under the afternoon sun. People passed by, whispering, staring, some shaking their heads, others pretending not to see. But one man on a roaring Harley slowed down, took off his helmet, and stared at her for a long moment. Then he said something no one expected. "Get on. You're coming with me." That was the moment everything changed, not just for her, but for everyone who ever believed life couldn't turn around after you've lost everything. Her name was Mara, a 32-year-old single mother of two, Liam, aged 7, and Grace, just 5. She had once worked at a small bakery, her hands always smelling of sugar and cinnamon. Life was hard but honest, until her husband disappeared with their savings, leaving her nothing but unpaid bills and a broken heart. Mara did what most mothers do when life collapses: she fought, quietly. She cleaned houses, washed dishes, and even sold her wedding ring to pay rent. But fate seemed to have a cruel obsession with her. The bakery where she worked closed down suddenly. Then, her landlord, a cold man with greedy eyes, demanded the rent she couldn't pay. When she begged him for time, he laughed and threw her and her children out, their clothes stuffed into plastic bags. They ended up in an old bus station, sleeping on the cold floor, her kids crying from hunger. One evening, Mara decided to visit a charity center hoping for food. But when she returned, she found a group of teenagers mocking her children. They had cut off chunks of her daughter's hair as a joke. When she screamed at them, they laughed and ran. In a moment of desperation and hopeless rage, she used the same scissors and shaved the rest off, her daughters, her sons, and then her own. She did it so they could look the same, so her children wouldn't feel ashamed. But the world only stared harder. The next morning, she walked down Main Street, 3 bald heads gleaming like scars of survival. People recorded them on their phones, some threw coins, others insults. And that's when the man on the Harley stopped. His name was Duke, a member of the local Hells Angels chapter. Tattoos ran up his arms like rivers of memory, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Most people avoided him, but he saw something different that day. "You're coming with me," he said simply, as Mara held her children tighter. She froze. "Please, I'm not. I'm not that kind of woman," she whispered, thinking he meant harm. He removed his glasses, and his eyes, surprisingly gentle, met hers. "I didn't ask what kind you are. I'm saying you don't belong here. Get your kids. You're coming." With nothing left to lose, Mara followed. The motorcycle roared through the wind, followed by 2 other bikes. The kids sat in a sidecar, wide-eyed but smiling for the first time in days. They arrived at an old warehouse at the edge of town, walls covered in graffiti, engines rumbling inside. It looked wild and dangerous, but Duke's voice cut through the noise. "Brothers, meet the bravest woman I've ever seen." The place went silent. Rough-looking bikers, men and women in leather, turned toward the bald woman and her kids. Mara trembled, clutching her children. Then Duke told them her story, how she'd lost everything, yet still shaved her head to protect her children from shame. Something shifted in that room. One by one, the bikers nodded. Then a woman named Red, with fiery hair and tattoos on her neck, stood up and said, "If that ain't strength, I don't know what is." She walked over, took off her bandana, and wrapped it gently around Mara's head. Over the next few days, the Hells Angels helped her find a small apartment near the edge of town. They brought food, clothes, even a second-hand bike for Liam. Duke fixed the broken heater himself. For the first time in years, Mara's children slept in warm beds. But not everyone liked it. When the local news got wind of the story, they twisted it into something ugly: biker gang takes woman and kids. People judged, whispered again. The landlord who threw her out filed false reports. The social workers came knocking. That's when Duke and the Angels stood up again, this time publicly. They held a charity ride called Wheels for Hope, raising money for single mothers in the city. Hundreds of bikers showed up, roaring through the streets like thunder. The crowd cheered. Reporters covered it. Suddenly, the story flipped. Mara wasn't a victim anymore, she was a symbol. A few months later, Mara opened her own small bakery again, funded by donations from the ride. She named it the Bald Angel Bakery. On the opening day, her kids stood beside her, laughing as Duke cut the ribbon with motorcycle clippers instead of scissors. The same people who once mocked her now lined up for her cupcakes. And at the end of the day, as the sun set, Duke asked softly, "So, Mara, you ever think about growing your hair back?" She smiled, shaking her head. "No. Some scars should stay, so we remember how strong we are. Sometimes, life takes everything, your home, your pride, your hair, just to show you what can never be taken, your courage." Mara's story reminds us that kindness can come from the most unexpected places, and strength can grow in the darkest storms. So if you're watching this and feel like you've lost everything, remember, sometimes, angels wear leather jackets.